Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Town Manager's Corner. As everybody knows, or I hope you know, maybe we have some new viewers. My name's Scott Lambiase, and I'm the Town Manager. And this is a program that we've been working with Abington Cable for the last several years. We like to introduce department heads. We like to introduce new projects. We have these segments that we'll tape before town meeting, let everybody know about town meeting and what's coming up. And today, we have a very special guest. As most of you are aware, we have a new police chief. And so we're very excited to introduce to you today John Bonney, our new police chief. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your background. I know you were with Stoughton for many years, right?
Yep. I spent 22 years at Stoughton, got out of the academy. I started the academy in 2002, graduated just after January of 2003. And up until September of this year, I remained at Stoughton.
So, we've all gone through the past 5 or so years that have been some dramatic changes in policing. What do you see as some of the big challenges that we're facing now?
Some of the big challenges now, we're still kind of, and I do think we're coming on the upswing. There was a sort of a groundswell of demonization of law enforcement for a little bit, and I really do think we're coming out of that. My heart of heart believe that we still had an overwhelming amount of support, and it was probably a loud vocal minority that was kind of against law enforcement, and we didn't do ourselves any favors at times.
Yes.
And we just kind of keep pressing on.
So what are your overall thoughts? I mean, you've been here for a month or so now?
A little over, yeah.
Over a month, and you've got right off the ground running. We've had a lot of little programs going, but what's your thoughts of your staff and of the other departments and working together?
So I'm just impressed overall with, and I'll start with the staff at the police department. They are way busier here in town than I imagined they were. We're at, I think just this month, I think we've had 25 arrests and 30 car crashes, and those are the ones that we do reports on. Sometimes we do little fender benders. We're halfway through the month now, and on top of that, we've written, I don't know, almost 1,200 citations this year. So there's a lot of traffic enforcement. And then they're out in the public doing things like with the Coffee with a Cop, and then our donation drive. And it's not a very big department, and we're hoping to grow it for sure, but they just come to work, and they love to be in the community. They support each other, and it is an amazing environment to be in.
Now, the Coffee with the Cops, and I've sat in on some of those down at the senior center. We've done some, or you've done some, and it's amazing how well received they are. What are your thoughts on that sort of community policing? I know we talk about that a lot, and especially in this town. But yeah, what do you think about that?
So it's hugely important because it gives us an opportunity to sort of humanize the badge a little bit. The thought of police officers and what we do and the dangers we put ourselves in, and riding around the cars all day long and responding to calls. This gives us an opportunity to reach our community on a completely different level. And we learn a little bit about them, and what the nice part is it's reciprocal. They learn about us, learn that we're hockey coaches and baseball coaches, and our kids go to plays, and like it's just this sort of human interaction that is so important, and it kind of had been missing for a long time.
Yeah, and it's very well received by the citizens of the town, I will say. So what are some of the things that you like to do when you're not in uniform and you're not working?
So I've had a lot of nicknames, especially now they call me Chief. But my favorite one is Dad. My wife and I have been together since we were freshmen in high school. We're very proud of our 2 kids. My son Liam is a freshman at Wentworth. He played hockey, and I coached him just about all the way through his youth. And so I love sports and hockey and talking hockey with my son. My daughter's a senior at Stoughton High School, and we're looking at colleges for her, and it's just an exciting time for our family. Sad,
right.
Kids moving on, but so proud of them at the same time. My daughter's a dancer. I might be different than other dads. I love going to dance competitions and recitals and things like that. It's just, I like watching my kids do the things that they like to do.
Fun. It's very fun. So I guess some of the other things then to talk about, I mean, now that you've been in for a month and you know, what do you see the challenges that we're going to have in the near future with growing the department and some of the things that we need for the department?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Chief Majensky had me in the Friday before I actually started, and I had a staff meeting with the entire agency, and it was almost 100% participation, even with administrative staff. And I really wanted to know from them, like, what are the issues? And the biggest issue is, in fact, staffing. And it's, you know, I sit in things like at the senior center and I talk about the town, and I feel that this town is just such a kind of a quaint community. But the people who have been here for a long time have told me that it has just grown. We need to grow the police department. We're very low on numbers. We are in a very aggressive hiring period right now, trying to get us back to where we are. We're allotted right now for 19. Civil service has its challenges, as I think that the town knows. The town meeting supported leaving, and we're going to have an election. Is that in April?
Correct. Yes, and the police union also supported it.
Yeah, so
it's probably important to note that they were very much on board with this.
It's very supported, and the agencies that have left civil service, hiring has just become so much easier. So the main problem that our officers are talking about are hiring. Really, if the citizens vote to support us in leaving civil service, seemingly overnight we could start hiring people. Mm-hmm. Civil service doesn't allow for that. So that is our biggest challenge right now. You know, we have some decent technology, especially for a smaller department. We have really, it's a young group overall, but they're just smart, dedicated law enforcement professionals and good people. It's just a matter of numbers right now. Yeah,
and it's really, like you said, it's not for a lack of trying. You know, you and previous chiefs have done as much effort as they can in recruitment.
Sure.
But it is one of those fields right now that isn't overly attractive.
No.
And I'm hoping that changes. I mean, you know, we'll do what we can. We did everything, I think, you know, we worked hard to make sure that we had an attractive compensation package and,
yes,
and a comparable compensation package to other communities. So I'm hoping, as you say, once we have that ability to recruit outside of that small civil service network, that
sure,
we'll do much better.
We talked about recruiting, and it just can't be an administrative function. It's a whole team effort. And there's been buy-in by the officers and the sergeants and the lieutenants and the deputy and myself all along. We've talked about that a great deal. We've met, I've had meetings with the union, very positive meetings with the union about just that. When we go to classes and training, really talking about the good things that we have here in Abington and make it attractive. We've done a lot of outreach to even people in the academy that have no landing spot right now, that are self-sponsored through the academy. We've spoken to kids that have no landing spot, and we really are trying to plan for the future. And I want to let you know, and because we've discussed it with the people in the agency and they're on board with that too, we don't plan on just trying to put a stopgap in. We won't keep an officer that can't make it. We're not trying to just hire someone to throw in a uniform. There's a standard, a high standard of care and professionalism in that building at 215 Central Street, and that's how it's going to stay.
And so we're not going to robots? We're not going to get a bunch of Tesla robots?
AIs. No, absolutely not. No.
All right, we'll avoid that for now. But I guess that, you know, and I don't know if this was a question that I had asked or the panel had asked, but as far as technology does go, where do you see things like that going? Do you see electric vehicles? Do you see body cameras? Do you see drone usage for events and things like that?
Absolutely, and a lot of that stuff has been put in play before I got there. The deputy chief ran a drone unit at Boston College. He got a grant. We have drones coming, so it'll just be a matter of getting a training and a policy put together on that. Body cameras, we are applying for a larger grant. We did receive a small grant in that last year, but we're applying for a larger grant through the state on that. That is just something, to be honest with you, I think that's going to be a state mandate coming up before too long. So, we want to get the right policies in place, and that's also things that I've already started working on discussing with the union, and I think we'll get something in place pretty soon. The technology portion of that is a must.
Yeah, and so you mentioned, a couple things there. First of all, I'm not sure everybody understands or realizes that there's a significant amount of grants that you do work, and you have, I think Sergeant Feely works hard trying to get some of them, and as probably do some of the other officers. But that has saved the town lots of money, like you said, through programs where we can get this equipment that is, needed and very much appreciated and used, but would otherwise we'd either have to take away from some other capital project or piece of equipment to be able to afford this stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of effort goes into getting those grants, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Sure.
Sergeant Feely does a great job. Lieutenant Simmons and the deputy chief have also assisted in that. It truly is a group effort in there, and it's all hands on deck.
And speaking of the deputy chief is new. We were hoping to have him on here today, but he is on a mercy mission to the Carolinas.
Yes.
But you will introduce him on
Sure.
another show, or maybe on this show, who knows, in the near future. But you did have some promotions that were made very recently, and I think that was probably well deserved of all the folks who got it. But what are your thoughts on that? You seem to have a good command staff in place right now.
Yeah, the department is set up. It was the groundwork. Again, this didn't have anything to do with me. This happened before I got here. The groundwork was laid for success for many years to come with the Abington Police Department. The people in place there, they take their job serious. Leadership is a privilege, and they all realize that. We're going to continue training in leadership. There's many good programs around that we're going to take advantage of, and frankly, the next police chief, the next deputy police chief, our goal is to have it be somebody who's already wearing an Abington police patch, and that's set up, through training and learning, and we never stop learning in this job. So
You can't. Well, what else would you like us to know, or like the audience to know about yourself?
I am just I love what I do. I every day I come to work, and it's just a different day, and that has been the same since I started the academy all the way through to this very moment. This is the greatest job on earth. We just we're the people that nobody knows what we look like. Nobody knows who's coming to their house, but in their worst moments, they're calling 911, and we're the faceless, nameless human beings that show up to the house to help them through their worst day. And I have seen our officers act in some a very critical incident recently, and I want this town to be proud of their agency, because I am supremely proud of them and the work that they do.
Yes, they do. They're out there working hard every day, and it is very much appreciated from administration down, and I know I hear lots of great things from the public too. Which brings up another point. I mean, one of the probably main complaints, I hate to use that word, but typically what we hear from the citizens is, hey, this speeding in my area, speeding on my street, or why can't they, put one of the radar signs here. But in fact, I think every time I've ever reached out to anybody in your department and said, hey, listen, I got a call or whatever, you folks actually do go out and you take care of that. You will sit on it or monitor it or do what you can. And
Yeah, it's amazing, again, how much they do. Every month there's a new traffic study done within the agency. We get a breakdown of how many vehicles were stopped. I think last month was like 280 car stops. In August it was over 400, but there was some grants for overtimes for that.
Okay.
And then, every single day the sergeant at roll call has a specific area of traffic enforcement that's supposed to be hit. It is something that, and I've seen the online chatter like, there's no enforcement. There is a remarkable amount of
Yes,
enforcement.
there is. Yeah.
In some respects, it happens just being visible on a street, right? So people aren't going to intentionally speed by a cruiser, right? So,
Which
if they say I never see a car stop on my street, well, maybe that's because they're seeing a police officer on your street and they're not speeding. So it's definitely it's something that we take serious, and they take a lot of pride in.
And I guess the last thing I'd probably like to touch on. So you are smack dab. Your station, our Central Street station, is smack dab in the middle of what's going to be a very large municipal project. And so my envision of it, and I think the committee's envision and the selectmen certainly, was to create a public safety campus where we would have police, fire, and DPW. And it's not only because that was really the only land that we actually had to do this on, but also because it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? I know that you seem to work very well with DPW and the fire chief. You guys have been through some community events together, and then some not so good events together.
Right.
But everybody seems to be working very well together.
Yeah, I am so impressed with the synergy amongst the departments in this town. Chief Glenn and I have, we've only known each other 5 or 6 weeks, but it's like, and I feel the same way about the deputy chief. I feel like we've known each other for a long time. It's just so easy with Chief Glenn. His department has been terrific with us. And John Stone has just been unreal to us. Every time we need something, for the 9/11 thing, we wanted our department looking sharp. His guys were out there mowing the lawn and making it look nice. And I can't wait for that to get started. I'm not super patient, so I can't wait for it to be finished either.
There are a lot of guys like that around.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a fantastic campus for sure. And for years to come, I want people in area communities to be envious of what we have in Abington. Mm-hmm. So I think we're doing a lot of training now going forward with the fire department. Lieutenant Canada is putting together an incredible program where there's sort of these joint training things, and once we're all on the same campus, it's just going to be that much easier.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, and it will be a couple years, so be patient.
Okay.
As patient as you can be. All right, well, before we wrap up, this is your chance. Is there anything you'd like to say to everybody out there? I mean,
yes, thank you for that opportunity. I just want to thank everyone who has just been so welcoming. This whole town has just been, from Oktoberfest to the senior center to the departments. Everyone has just been so kind and welcoming, and this is just a great little community, and I'm just really, really proud to be here. And thank you to you and the select board for believing in me to lead this agency, because it's something I take a lot of pride in.
No, and we're very happy to have you. And we're looking forward to, like I said, looking forward to the future. And you do have the support of the selectmen and myself and the other department heads. So I think it's a bright future for all of us. So,
thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
And that's it for today's episode of Town Manager's Corner. Please tune in. We are planning several more of these segments in the near future. We have Superintendent Tom Hickey from South Shore Votech coming soon, and we're going to talk about our digital messaging strategy on how we get our information out to the community, and we want to let you know how that works and all that goes into that. So that's all we have for today. Thank you.